Hey everybody, it's Allie Edwards, and today I am sharing a project that I put together that features our newest Stamps Are Fun stamp set. That's a subscription stamp set, and one of our alphas are awesome stamp sets. This is going to be number 29. This project starts out with a full page photo. This is 7 inches wide by 8.25 inches tall, and I knew that I wanted to do an interactive page with this. So what I decided to do was cut that photo in half. That's a photo of some of my own watercolor painting there on my table. And I decided what I wanted to do was have it be like a gatefold where it would open up. I think that's what this is called, where it would open up. And I had a piece of pattern paper here. This was from, I believe, a travel collection, maybe last year's travel collection or the year before. It was in a 10 by 8 size, so maybe it was the year before. And that is going to become the home for some inspiration pieces that I have saved on Pinterest recently. So the story that I'm telling here, the thing that I'm documenting, is some of the inspiring art journaling and painting things that I have saved on my Pinterest board recently. So what I'm doing now is I'm going to create a fold here. I'm going to use a piece of white cardstock to make a fold. It's going to be about 1 inch wide, and I'm going to fold it in half. This is going to give me space to adhere a portion of the photo to one side and then the pattern paper to the other side in order to make it fold. Now in this case, this particular story or this particular project, this side is going to fold out, and then the other side, the other half of my photo, will actually get hole punched and will go into the album because it's going to sit where the holes would go, and we don't want it to unfold into the holes. It'll make more sense when you see it here in a little bit. Using a little bit of red line tape here to adhere the photo to my pattern paper. This is such an easy way to create flip ups, flip outs, lots of different things. You can make the cardstock bigger. You can have the fold be as big as you want it to be. So again, this one I just did 1 inch, so it's got 1/2 inch here that I'm going to adhere down onto, or my photo down onto that. So then you can see that's how that is going to open up. Super fun, super fun. It was really fun for me to have the outside picture be something that I had made, and then these inside pictures, as you'll see in a minute, be the different inspiration pieces that I've been looking at. In my album this year, I'm working front to back. I'm doing a mixture of things inside the page protector and outside of the page protector. This particular page is going in the May section of my album. So you can see there was a project that I had worked on previously that has a story that's in May. And so this was the last space that I had open in the May documenting. So the last story that I'm adding in for May, and then I can move on to June. Next up, I'm going to be incorporating the Stamps Are Fun stamp set. And you can see here it is an outline stamp set. It's a 6 by 8 size, and it has 6 different shapes that are great for adding journaling, adding documentation, adding context to the storytelling that you might be doing. Before I get to that part, though, I am going to add a little tab sticker along the outside edge here. I'm going to pull that over into the album so I can see where the tab sticker is going to sit along the outside. This is a tab sticker, again, from the travel collection last year. And so I just kind of tucked that inside where I had already done the adhesive. One of the things that I have been playing around with recently is some printable photo sticker paper. This is something that I have been watching Azari use, and I love it. It's great. It's actually a really fun way to print your photos and then not have to think about the adhesive because you can just pull it up off the back. So I'll show you more about that in just a second. Initially, I thought I was going to use this 3 by 8 quote paper that was from a previous story kit on here, and you can see that I'm actually trimming it all out and adhering it down. I will remove that eventually because I changed my mind in order to do something else. But in the meantime, I left it in here so you could see the idea. You may have some of those 3 by 8 prompt papers or quote papers from previous kits in your stash, and this would be a fun place to utilize that. In my case, I end up bagging that idea in a couple minutes here and using a pattern paper instead, so I have the same pattern paper on both sides, and you'll see that in a little bit later. So here, those little squares are all from my art journaling Pinterest board, and they are printed on this 4x6 sticker paper, printable sticker paper. It's from a brand called Koala. This is just the one that Azari was using, so that's what I went ahead and used. I cropped my little inspiration photos to 1.75-inch squares. Here you can see one more thing that I did on that other 3x8 before I change my mind. But here's just kind of cutting these out, and then you peel off the back. The paper itself is thinner than the normal photo paper that I print on, the normal Epson photo paper, but I think especially for this kind of thing, or if you were putting, photos into like a memory planner, or maybe even another place that would be great is in like a notebook, because it's a lot thinner. I don't know about the longevity yet because it's not something that I've only used it just recently, but I love the idea of it, so I'm going to kind of incorporate it in a few different spots. This was one of the spots where it felt like it made the most sense to me, because if there is discoloration or decay that happens with the paper itself, it's not using my actual pictures, but Azari is using it on her actual pictures, and I'm super curious to see what the longer term effect of that is. This was really fun, and this could be, obviously you could use the same idea for your own photos, for a combination of journaling and embellishments. I wanted to fill them all up with some of the inspiration pieces that I have found on Pinterest, and I've got a link to my Pinterest page down below as well. All right, so what I decided to do then is I grabbed a pattern paper. This is from our current Storyteller kit, which is the Colors Storyteller kit, and it says Open Heart. And I'm going to go ahead and adhere that on both sides of the gatefold there. And then on top of that, I am going to use the newest Stamps Are Fun set to create some journaling blocks. So I'm going to pick one of those shapes, and I'm going to repeat it 4 times across that Open Heart pattern paper. I'm also always doing a lot of trimming. That's just something that happens when you're working back to back. So I use my X-Acto knife and a ruler, metal ruler for that. That's something I've been doing for a long time. Yeah, see, so then I think the color works better like that. I like that it matches on both sides rather than having the 3x8 paper. But I think the other thing I considered was instead of having pattern paper here, I could have had a photo enlargement here. That would have worked. Or I could have had additional squares. That would have been another something that I could have done. So here I'm trimming that down again. I love that it feels a little bit old school to actually be taking old school is maybe not even the right term. Just the idea of so much of our inspiration is digital these days. And so taking some of that inspiration that I am finding digitally that I do refer back to. I mean, I love looking at the things that I've saved to my Pinterest boards. But I really liked printing them out. Just something felt different about printing it out. So I would encourage you, if that's something that, if you've got some inspiration, maybe it's scrapbooking inspiration, or it's home inspiration, or it's garden inspiration, it's kind of fun to actually print out those kinds of things and then have that in your scrapbook and not just have it collected and saved digitally somewhere. So that's just something to think about. Okay, so here you can see that I am printing out, or I stamped 4 of the same shape. This is the smaller rectangle shape. It has 3 little areas on there for a space for content, and I'm just trimming it down. I didn't measure what my actual borders were around the outside. I'm just kind of eyeballing it. You could cut it closer. You could have larger borders if you wanted, but I wanted 4 of these so that I could have 2 on the inside of each of those gatefolds. So 2 on top of each of the pattern papers, and then I am going to add my journaling directly on there. At this point, I knew that I would probably be stamping numbers in the little square, and then also some sort of a title, most likely some sort of a word-based title on the other square, and then my journaling would go below. I've been really into punching partial circles on things recently. especially if there's a flip up or a flip out. In this case, you can see I'm using my pen to kind of mark where the center is, and then I'm still eyeballing it when I go in there. Like here where these two half circles meet, I didn't really care if they form a full circle, but I did want them to be just about in the same location when it gets opened up. So here's those four things that I stamped, and here is the Alphazar Awesome number 29 stamp set. This piece of vellum has been in my stash for a long time, in my bridge storage, actually. Bridge storage is something that we talked about in the stash class, and I have almost used it a number of times. Like I cut it into this half circle at some point in time, but this time I'm actually going to use it for real. I don't even know how old that vellum is. It's a old, probably maybe Maggie Holmes vellum. But what I'm going to stamp on here with this alpha set is inspo. So I was curious if inspiration would fit, but it didn't. But once I could tell that inspo is going to fit, I was pretty happy with that. I love this large typewriter set here. So I did the S first, which is the middle letter. That just helps me organize how the word, or where the word is going to fit on there a little bit better. So stamping the word inspo, and then I'm going to also stamp documenting or currently. This is from a little stamp set. Each month this year we've been offering these 3x4 stamp sets. They don't have the month on them, but there's a new one each month that usually goes along with the Stories by the Month kits. And so I'm stamping documenting, and then I'm also going to use that same stamp set. It has the word currently on it. This was from April. We do have some of these available too, and it's linked below. It's got a cute little like a border shape on it, or a label shape, and then a few ing words and the word currently. So it's stamping currently on all of those, and then I will be stamping numbers. But first I'm going to attach this vellum piece, and I decided to just fold the top over. I actually did that before I did the stamping, and then I'm going to tuck it right inside of there. There's still a little bit of adhesive in there, enough to hold it in place, and then I'm going to trim along the edge, and I'm actually going to trim it so that it lines up with the stickers, or the printed stickers on there, so that the doesn't cover up the holes. That was kind of what ended up happening. You can see I'm going to go back in and trim that off here using my scissors to just try to get it in the right spot. There's that one there. And then I'm going to trim it. This is where I'm trimming it to, essentially to where the, so that it doesn't cover up the holes. That's what I'm trying to say there. Yep, there. Trimming, trying to get it in the right spot. Tucking that in. There we go. And then pulling that up just so that it kind of sits in the same spot. And then I'm also going to add the date stamp on there. That's something else that is going to happen in a little bit. Just getting in there, getting in those little crevices, trying to get it all lined up. Yeah. All right, then we've got that folded, and then when we unfold, now I'm going to put another half circle, just into it. I just like the way that looks. And then the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to use a number stamp set. This was one I believe that we released with Week in the Life. We do have some available. It's a big set of 7 different typefaces with smaller numbers on it. Great to have in your stash, great for when you need some smaller numbers. This one also has the number set. The small numbers are the same as the Numbers Are Awesome set we did this month in this like kind of typewriter font. So just another size variation on that same one. I'm using a bright pink ink to stamp my numbers on there, and then I will be adhering these down onto the pattern paper and then adding my journaling on top. For my journaling, I'm going to talk a little bit about how I love inspiration as a jumping off point, how it's part of the way that I am learning what I like in art journaling, learning what I like in painting, just kind of, figuring out my own vibe as I go along and using other people's beautiful creations as the jumping off point for that. So this is kind of a nice opportunity to document some of that. And that's a little bit what I'll be talking about in my journaling too, is the colors, the shape motifs, the how I go back to Pinterest again and again to look at the different things. And most of the time for me, like when I'm looking on Pinterest, I'm not trying to copy whatever it is exactly, but I'm using it as a jumping off point for colors or for shapes or for, just me trying to figure out how did they do that? How did they do that? How did they make that happen? And so that is what I'm journaling about on there. I'm using a Staedtler Lumo Color permanent pen. This is the super fine. This has an S on it. That's a super fine pen size. And yeah, that's what I worked on this one today. I really like how this one came together. Another thing I thought about as I was writing out my journaling too was just reflecting a little bit on, the colors that I've been into recently. It's just fun to kind of see it all come together in one place, and to remind me like of all the pink and all the orange, and those are colors that I've loved for a long time. But it's interesting, I think, to see in this season of life, like what are all of those things that I'm attracted to at this point in time, and then taking a little bit of time to reflect on that is what kind of felt good in the storytelling of this one. The last thing I'm going to add on here is a sticker that says currently. This is from the Week in the Life main kit this year. It had a great 6x8 sheet of word stickers, and that's one of the ones that was on there. So it's got the word currently, and then you can see what this looks like in my album. Let me know if you guys have questions in the comments below.